The film starts with Pip telling his two chipmunk sons the story of Giselle. She was found and raised by the woodland creatures in Andalusia as a child, and she had her big adventure being sent from the kingdom into New York City, where she met Robert and Morgan Phillip. Giselle and Robert got married and had their own daughter, Sophia. Despite thinking this was their happily ever after, Pip tells his sons that there is a whole other story that follows. Life in the big city has been wearing on Giselle and Robert, and Morgan has grown into more of a snarky teen than she was when Giselle first met her. Seeing a need for change, Giselle has them move to the suburban town of Monroeville. Despite Morgan's reservations about uprooting her life away from her old home, Giselle assures her that they can make a new life there. She and Robert fix up Morgan's room, but it catches fire when they turn on a faulty light switch. The family is then visited by Malvina Monroe, the snobby head of the town council, along with her two lackeys Rosaline and Ruby. They mention a fairy tale ball that Malvina hosts, where her son Tyson is usually made the prince. The next day, the family is visited by Edward and Nancy, who are now king and queen of Andalusia and have made a portal to the Phillips' new home. The two gift them with an Andalusian wishing wand, which only a true daughter of Andalusia may use. They also leave a scroll of instructions for them to use it safely. While Morgan gets ready for school, Giselle expresses her less than satisfied feelings about her life now to Edward and Nancy. They express confidence that she will know what to do. Robert begins taking a train to work, which quickly depresses him. Meanwhile, Morgan tries to fit in at her new school, but nobody talks to her except for Tyson, who helps her pick up her books. She vents her frustrations to Giselle over adjusting to her new home. Giselle then notices a flyer for an upcoming event that Malvina is throwing, giving her an idea. Giselle makes cupcakes and puts up a stand at Malvina's event to get her elected for princess at the winter ball. This only humiliates Morgan, and Malvina orders Giselle to take the stand down because she is not an official member of the town council. At home, Giselle tries to cheer Morgan up by showing her a memory tree that she made when she was little, but when Robert comes home to try and help, Morgan snaps and says Giselle is not her mother, but her stepmother, which hurts her feelings.
That's all she'll ever be. Stepmother.
Giselle sings to herself about what she wants and is visited by Pip through the portal. Giselle then gets an idea and grabs the wand, realizing what she wants her wish to be. When Giselle wakes up the next morning, she finds that her house looks more neatly constructed and decorated, and the other animals are singing, along with a happier Morgan. Giselle realizes her wish worked. Robert also becomes a more dashing, heroic type. Even the rest of the town becomes more whimsical, being renamed Monroeville. Malvina is now the town's evil queen with magic powers, who is told by her magic mirror Edgar that Giselle has more power than she does. Giselle goes to get Morgan a new dress to impress Tyson, who is an actual prince here. When the clock strikes on the hour, something sinister in Giselle begins to take over.
I really don't need...
She buys all the dresses and cuts up the dress Morgan picked out. Giselle notices her new behavior and takes Pip upstairs to Morgan's room, which is a dusty old attic. Giselle fears that the wish has begun to turn her into a wicked stepmother, as she is becoming more vain and cruel by the hour. Pip also becomes a fat cat, as wicked stepmothers usually have evil pet cats. Robert attempts to be the town hero as he comes across a dragon's cave where people are gathered with fear. He gets thrown out twice, leaving Robert embarrassed. Giselle and Pip consult the magic scroll, who informs them that they have until midnight to undo the wish before it becomes permanent. Making things worse is that the wish is using the magic from Andalusia, which will be completely drained of magic if Giselle cannot undo the wish. Morgan goes around town and runs into Tyson, who appears to have some interest in her, which is mutual. Giselle, who is trying to find a solution to her problem, spots them together in town, and her wicked stepmother instincts kick in, and make her grow jealous of Morgan's newfound attention. She forces Morgan to stay home and do chores, preventing her from going out with Tyson. Malvina sends Rosaline and Ruby to get Giselle's wand from her home. They steal it, but Malvina's attempt to use the wand fails, since she is not from Andalasia. They then find the scroll and try to find a loophole to allow them to use the wand's magic. A giant begins stomping through town, and Robert attempts once more to be a hero. While he cannot stop the giant's rampage, he does succeed in rescuing a little girl from being trapped under debris, and her parents express gratitude toward Robert. When Morgan realizes something is wrong with Giselle, she goes after her, and Giselle begins switching back and forth between her normal and wicked personas. She tells Morgan that she is the one who has to help now, so she pushes Morgan into the well that sends her to Andalasia to get help from Edward and Nancy. Giselle then goes full wicked and challenges Malvina for the position of Queen. Morgan wakes up as a cartoon in Andalasia before finding Edward and Nancy. The kingdom's magic is being pulled up into a vortex, and many of the inhabitants are growing weaker. Edward and Nancy show Morgan Giselle's memory tree that possesses magic that could help her, but it is dying from the wish. However, Morgan's own memories help replenish it. She recreates the same memory tree from her childhood and returns to the real world with Nancy, while Edward stays behind to protect the kingdom. The night of the Winter Ball arrives and Pip swipes the wand back from Rosaline and Ruby. Giselle engages in a magic duel with Malvina before all the horrified guests. Andalasia then starts to break through into the real world. Morgan joins Nancy and Robert as they try to help Giselle. She overpowers Malvina, and when Morgan tries to show her the memory tree, Giselle rips it apart and calls it garbage.
Useless garbage.
The magic from the tree then surrounds Giselle and reminds her of who she really is, breaking her free from her wicked persona. Giselle prepares to undo the wish, but Malvina traps Morgan in vines and threatens to kill her unless Giselle gives up the wand. She does, and Malvina steps on it. She waits for the clock to strike midnight, so the wish remains permanent, but Robert and Tyson go up to stop the clock from hitting midnight. When Morgan is free, she goes to Giselle, who is starting to become weaker since everything and everyone from Andalasia is dying. Since Morgan is officially Giselle's daughter, she is a daughter of Andalasia, so she uses her own magic to make a wish for things to return to normal before Malvina stops Robert and Tyson. Morgan wakes up in her bedroom and goes to Giselle in the kitchen, where she congratulates her for undoing the wish. Everyone affected by the wish simply thinks they woke up from a weird dream. Giselle makes an effort to befriend Malvina, and she is invited to join the town council. Morgan starts spending more time with Tyson, and Robert has moved his practice to Monroeville, so he doesn't have to commute. The family is throwing a party when they are visited by Edward and Nancy. Giselle then enjoys her day with Robert, knowing she has a true happily ever after, even more enchanted reprise.